Welcome to the Men of Iron podcast, equipping men for their mentorship journey. The purpose of the podcast is to provide you with discussion and practical advice to help you grow in your faith, family, friends, fitness, and finances. Thanks for listening.
What is up, world? It is Garrett Barbush here with the Men of Iron podcast, episode 53, where we're going to be talking about the significance of protege-driven mentorships and why we at Men of Iron believe they are so crucial. Man, this is going to be a quick podcast, hard-hitting, really practical things that you need to take in and you need to act on. But before we do that, let me give a quick thank you to our sponsor. You're going to hear about them just a little bit later on the podcast at our break. But we want to say a special thank you to Backgate Prayers. These are personalized prayer cards. And man, I know some of the guys on our staff are utilizing them. I personally need to jump on and do this, but I know Justin and Steve have been given access to these prayer cards. And man, they are awesome. These guys have them on their desk. They have them at home. They're these pictures that you have of your family members, and it's just a reminder to pray, and they're well done. It's a high quality experience, man. If you have not checked out Backgate Prayers and their personalized prayer cards, make sure you do that. We're grateful for their partnership and their support in Men of Iron, and we recommend all of our mentors, all of our proteges, all of our advocates, donors, and podcast listeners. Check them out. It is a great tool for you and your family. And they can be utilized, and it's just super practical. That's what I love about it. It's a practical reminder to be praying for your family and your loved ones. So let's get right into today's topic. Man, we're going to be talking about the significance of protege-driven mentorships. And if you remember last time, we talked about what can a mentor do for you, and we covered like little things like, all right, well, what is a mentor, right? Like, what are the qualities and characteristics of mentors? We even talked about what isn't a mentor, right? We talked about these several bullet points of things that can sometimes be misconstrued on what the belief of what a mentor is. And really, that's not always necessarily true. And then we talked about Tim Elmore and his really good blogs around the 5 things a mentor taught me and the 5 things that mentors can teach us. And then also the 7 different kinds of mentors. And I spent the second half of that podcast talking about practically some of these men in my life that have played this role of mentor and how they impacted me. And in that podcast of episode 52, if you haven't checked it out, be sure to go back and do that, because there were several times throughout the podcast where we talked about, listen, a mentor's job is not to be responsible for the mentorship. This is a protege-driven experience, meaning, listen, I am not a mentor to somebody if I am dragging them along in this mentorship. If I'm the one that's calling, if I'm the one that's texting, listen, it's not a mentorship. I'm not playing the role of mentor at that point. I'm taking responsibility for the mentorship, and that's not what a mentorship is. A mentorship is when a protege takes responsibility and for his growth. He takes responsibility for the process, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. And he shows appreciation to his mentor. He shows gratitude to his mentor. That's what mentorship is, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I want to preface all of this by stating a very significant mentor in my life. His name is Dave Zillig. And actually, I heard this from Reggie Campbell before I even heard it from Dave Zillig. But those of you that don't know, Reggie Campbell is the founder of Radical Mentoring. And God bless Reggie and his family. Reggie passed away just a couple of months ago. Man, what a man that has made an impact on many men's lives. But Reggie shared with me one time, like, I will not call my proteges. I will not do it. I will not call my mentees, he said. And I talked to him about that in length. I said, well, why? Because it's not my job to call them. I love these guys. And yeah, out of love, I'm going to maybe text or call on occasion, but like, it's not my job. My job is to be here for them. And if they want to utilize me as their mentor, then they will call me. Now, to some of you, that may seem a little harsh. I don't think so. I personally don't think so. I love this rule. I love this rule to live by as a mentor is, listen, yes, there are times when I'm going to send a note of encouragement. And yes, there are times when maybe God will speak to me and encourage me to encourage you. All right. But very rarely In any mentor that I've ever had, very rarely do they take the initiative to text me and to call me. It's not their responsibility. And so for those of you out there that feel like you've been burnt by men in the past because they haven't done what you thought your expectation of them was, get over it. I'm going to just be very blunt. Get over it. Get over yourself and understand that if you've had failed mentorships, more often times than not, I'm not saying that this is every case, so don't get your feelings hurt here, but more often times than not, it's on the protege because the protege hasn't done what's expected of him. And that's what we need to understand, is that mentorship is driven by the protege. It is the protege's responsibility. So what does a protege-driven mentorship mean? Let's get into this today. I really believe a protege-driven mentorship is one that takes responsibility for the mentorship. And so let's break that down. They're the one oftentimes that they should be willing. There are men out there that are scared to death to act and to move and to go to another man and say, you've got something I don't have, but guess what? I want that. I want that kind of authentic faith. I want that strong faith. I want to lead my marriage in the way that you're leading yours. I want to raise my kids the way that you've raised yours. I want to manage my finances or my business the way that you've managed yours. I want to take care of my body. I want to rest the way that you've done that. I want to build relationships with friends the way that you've done that. Listen, guys, there are men in our lives that are modeling these things. They've got something we don't have. We've got to be willing to go to them and say, listen, could you spend some time with me? Can I learn from you? I'll be willing to do whatever it takes to get twice a month for an hour with you each time. We've got to be willing to act. And so what does taking responsibility for mentorship mean? It means getting off our keisters and doing something and going out and recruiting our mentors and saying, listen, I would love to invite you to be my mentor. And guess what? Men of Iron is here to equip you, protege, so that you can equip your mentor with the tools and training that's needed for mentorship. You don't need to come up with the formula. We've done that for you. We don't think that mentorship can be put in a box, even though we've sort of somewhat done that. But we'll give you all the tools and the training you need, and you can go to your mentor and say, listen, I've already got a plan. I've got everything we need. We just need to be willing to invest a little bit financially to make this happen. If you're not willing to do that, then guess what? You're not willing to grow and you're not willing to be uncomfortable, which means you're not willing to take responsibility for the mentorship. So what does it mean for a protege-driven mentorship? Well, it's one where a protege embraces, hear me on this now, they embrace and they're not afraid of the opportunity to be challenged, to be stretched, and to be sharpened. At the end of the day, great proteges are willing to be uncomfortable. They're comfortable being uncomfortable. They don't get their feelings hurt. They don't run away when somebody asks them a difficult question about their life. They don't run for the hills when a mentor says, listen, I see this in you and it's not good. You need to do something about this, right? Because every man that's come to me in my life that has challenged me with something that I didn't want to hear, I would say that almost 100% of the time they were 100% accurate. They were right and I wasn't willing to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. I wasn't willing to understand and embrace the fact that I was wrong and not acting the way that I should be acting, or maybe not taking responsibility for things that needed to be taken responsible for. So what does this mean? Well, I think it means that in order to be a growth protege, a protege-driven mentorship is one that is willing to be sharpened. Iron sharpening iron. Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Listen, this should not be clean. It should not be easy. It should not be pretty. Man, mentorship should be hard, and we should be okay with that. And so proteges that are willing to be challenged, willing to be uncomfortable, willing to be 100% honest and vulnerable and transparent about their life, man, that's good. I think proteges even need to be in a place where they're willing to be kind of emotional and somewhat bringing their true emotions to the table, but not wallowing in them, not staying there, but acting on it. We got to move forward, guys. We got to do something. And that is the challenge that I see with a lot of men is they're not able to get in touch with their emotions. So they're not really true to be authentic. They're not being truthful. They're not being transparent, or they stay there way too long. And they're just kind of wallowing in this self-pity and feeling sorry for themselves. And again, I said on the last podcast, I do believe there's a time to lament and a time and a place to be sorrowful. But I also believe that there's a time to pull ourselves out of that and understand that we've got to move forward, right? And so there's a balance there. I really do believe that a protege-driven mentorship is one that is one that they're willing to initiate contact. They're willing to create agendas. They're willing to schedule each meeting. The protege is one that's driving the mentorship, and the mentor is really acting as guide rails and guardrails. And so that's what a protege-driven mentorship means is, listen, they're looking at their life. They're saying, this is what I've identified as being wrong. This is what I'm willing to do to fix it. These are the goals and the ideas and the visions that God is giving me that I need to do something about. And I need you, mentor, to provide the accountability to help me see the balance in my life or the lack thereof, and to help me spiritually grow in the process. That right there defines a protege-driven mentorship. A protege that is willing to be held accountable, a protege that is willing to look at the balance in his life, and the protege that is willing to spiritually grow. Protege is a willing man. He's willing to do whatever it takes. That's what it means to be a protege-driven mentorship. So why do we at Men of Iron, why do we believe, and why have we developed Strong 27, this mentorship experience? Why have we developed this to be protege-driven? Well, because we've seen it produce results firsthand. It really is, and it all comes back to a great book out there called As Iron Sharpens Iron by Howard Hendricks. This is what our founder and our chairman of our board, Brian Zemer, he read this book when he started Men of Iron. And Howard Hendricks talks about in that book the significance of mentorship being protege-driven. And this is why I have an issue sometimes with church and discipleship, these discipleship processes that are placed out there for people. Now, do I believe there's a time and a place for somebody to step into my life and say, hey, this is what we're going to read. This is what we're going to memorize. This is how I'm going to teach you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that should be part of every discipleship pathway. However, there also comes a time in everyone's life where we need to be willing to say, listen, I'm going to assess my life. I'm going to have God speak to me, and I'm going to take away some practical things that I need to do, that God is asking of me, that I need to take responsibility for. And it's not going to be my mentor's job to tell me what to do and how to do it and what to read and when to read it. That does not help us continue to take responsibility for our life. What happens when we start to take responsibility for our own life in the areas of 5 F's is that's exactly what we do. We say, listen, I'm taking responsibility here. This is on me. If I don't succeed, guess what? It's not on anybody else. It's not on the process. It's not on an individual. It's not on the church. It's on me. And that's what we believe, and why we've developed Strong 27 to be protege-driven is it produces results. And we've seen that firsthand. We do believe that you get out of it what you put into it. So the efforts that I put forth, I will get. You will kind of, what do they say? Sow what you reap what you sow, whatever the saying is. Listen, I'm so fired up right now. I am pumped up, and I believe in this. I believe that we need to be instilling protege-driven mentorships, and so it will produce results. Listen, proteges, if you're out there listening to this, or you're a man that's listening to this, it is not a mentor's job to fix you, right? And again, it's not the church's job to fix you. It's not your company's job to fix you and provide for you. Listen, you want something out of life, go get it. Go grab it. That's where I'm at, is take responsibility for the process and be willing to do whatever it takes. Hey, we're going to take a break here. We're going to hear from our sponsor. We're also going to take a minute to hear from our Mentor Minute. We'll see you back here in 2 minutes.
Thank you to our sponsor for today's podcast, Backgate Prayers. Backgate Prayers is a company that created a tool to encourage you to pray for the ones you love. Man, Mother's Day is coming up, and this prayer tool would make an awesome gift for your wife or your mom. I personally have one. My wife has one, and she absolutely loves it. It sits at home on our kitchen counter. Just a great reminder to pray for your kids and your significant other. It's a unique tool that helps you pray scripturally based prayers for your kids or your spouse. Topics including salvation, protection, joy, spiritual growth. There's 20 prayers in all. Each set of prayer cards sits in a handmade wooden block and is personalized with names and a favorite picture that you upload of the ones you are praying for. Just an awesome, really cool present. You can order at backgateprayers.com. Use the code Men of Iron for a 10% discount. The last day to order to guarantee your delivery by Mother's Day is April 27th. Man, I have a set of these, like I said, my wife does. They're just beautiful cards, a great reminder. They sit on my desk. Just a great reminder to pray for my daughter and wife. So go out and get your set today, backgateprayers.com.
Hey, it's Justin Watkins from the Willow Street, Pennsylvania, here to talk to you about the significance of a protege-driven mentorship. And it comes down to the very simple fact that no one can own the growth and the goals for your life other than you. Mentor, even if you have a great heart and you're putting in so much time and effort, if the guy across from you on the other side of the table does not have himself fully invested in the process, it is not going to lead to change. You cannot just bear that responsibility and that calling on his life for him. Proteges, you are there to grow. You must own this. You must be the one writing and pursuing the goals. You must be the one that is pursuing the calling that God has on your life. Your mentor is there to give you challenge, accountability, encouragement when it is hard, but he cannot live out your calling. That must be owned by you. Take it seriously. Put yourself fully into this process, because on the other side, and it might be slow, it might be drastic, but you will see change when you are the one that is driving the mentorship. It's the only way that you will ever see transformation.
Welcome back, world, to Men of Iron's podcast, episode 53. We're talking about protege-driven mentorships. Man, you guys got me all fired up today talking about this topic. And I do want to just say again, my intent is not to hurt anyone's feelings or to cause any disagreement among anybody. But man, my heart behind all of this is to really get us to move as men and to take responsibility for our lives and to understand that God has given us this life and he's entrusted us to steward it well. And the only way that I've learned to steward my life well is with this 5F model of faith, family, friends, fitness, finances, with a mentor in my life who I've given permission to keep me accountable, help me understand the balance, and help me spiritually grow. That's being a good steward. And I think we all need to be willing to do that. And we've developed Strong 27 to be protege-driven. And it's what I think separates us from most, if you want to call it discipleship-driven programs out there. Man, we're not giving you a book to go in order and to read from pages 1 to 75. We're not telling you what scriptures to read. We're not telling you what to memorize. Man, that's not my place. My place is to allow the Holy Spirit to inspire you and your mentor to do that and to figure that out. But we are here to provide the tools and training for that to happen. And so that's what we've done. We've created this experience that's protege-driven. And we talked in the first half about why that's so important and what that looks like. And I really just want to use the second part of this podcast to say, listen, we've got to encourage you. We want to encourage you and drive home this importance, protege, of the responsibility to drive the mentorship forward. And we want to encourage you to take charge. Encourage you to take charge. I just love this idea and the concept of being able to take responsibility. To take something that God has given us and to be good stewards of it is really what the Christian walk is all about. I mean, whether he's giving us opportunities, are we seizing them? Right? He's giving us assignments, are we completing them? Protege, listen, if you're out there, or you're any man that might be out there and you're like, man, Garrett, this is firing me up. I know I got to do something about it. Part one of taking responsibility of this thing is going out and finding a man that's got something that you don't have that you want, and having the boldness and the courage to go to him and say, listen, I would be grateful for the opportunity to meet with you 2 times a month for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. And we can meet on your schedule. I'll make it work with your schedule. And I won't miss a meeting. I'll make 24 meetings happen this year. I'll take responsibility for this. I'll take responsibility for getting us the tools and training to make this work. Listen, all we got to do is just act. It's all it really takes. But instead, what happens is we get so ingrained in the day-to-day life of our jobs and families and careers, and using this COVID-19 as an excuse not to engage in mentorship. It's what it all is. It's all excuses, because at the end of the day, we all make time for things that are important to us. I got a family, I'm married, I've got children, I've got Men of Iron to lead. I'm engaged in my community, engaged with my church. Like, listen, I'm busy just like anybody else, but guess what? I love playing golf, and so I make time to play golf. Why? Well, because it's important to me, so I make time for it. So that's what we've got to do. We want to encourage you guys to make time for mentorship and to go out and get it. And so what are some practical ways for you to take charge? Initiate conversation with somebody. Go recruit your own mentor. Go do that. Go ask somebody. Send them to our website. Say, this is what we can do. In fact, if you go to our menofiron.org/shop and you order 2 mentorship packages, we will send you 2 licenses. It'll send you and your mentor an invitation. Man, make it happen. Contact me, Garrett at menofiron.org, Garret at menofiron.org. I will put you in touch with somebody from our team that will help you get this thing going. Don't waste time. Do this now. That's first, step 1. Step 2 is make a plan. Practical ways that you can take charge of a mentorship and make it happen is create an agenda for your meetings. Listen, through our resources and tools that we provide you through Strong 27, we're going to give you, the protege, all the agendas you need to take responsibility for the mentorship. That's why we believe in our process. That's why we believe in the product. Now more than ever, actually, I believe in our product. And not because it's what we've developed, but because it's what God has kind of hardwired into us and breathed life into all this over the last 2 years. And maybe you're out there and you've had an experience with Men of Iron in the past. I want to have you delete that from your mind and try this again with our new tools and training. Man, it's that much better. I believe in it. Some practical ways to take charge of your mentorship is show gratitude. If you're out there and you're in a mentorship, show gratitude to your mentor. Show appreciation to him. Let him know how he's impacting you and the work that he's doing and the questions he's asking, how much that's changing your life. At the end of the day, I think the only thing I can say to take practical advice and practical ways for you to take charge of your mentorship is to take responsibility for your life. Go out there and find a mentor, recruit him, make an invitation to him, make a bold request, develop plans and agendas for your meetings, respect his time, let him know what you want to accomplish and what you want to see changed in your life so that he can provide you the accountability, balance, and spiritual growth to make those things happen. So final thoughts today, check out this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Share it. Share it on social media. Text it out to your buddies. This is great information we all need to hear. And for more information on sponsoring the next Men of Iron podcast, man, we do these pretty affordably. If you're out there, you want your business or your organization promoted through this, check out menofiron.org/sponsor. We're here. We're praying for you guys. But at the end of the day, man, we want you guys to act. That's our prayer this week, is that we would see more men step into mentorships through Strong 27's mentorship experience. God bless. We'll see you for episode 54 soon.
Thanks for listening to the Men of Iron podcast. To get started in a one-to-one or microgroup mentorship, go to menofiron.org.